Hey, what's up, everybody? Thanks for tuning back into the Kickback, man. Today we have a very special guest. His name is Pastor Fred Jones. If you can hear from this interview, man, the way he talks, his passion for Christ, man, it's just something that I admire. It's a really good friend of mine. We've grown close over the past few years, and to be quite honest, man, it's a brother that I look up to and that I admire. So, I mean, as we get into the conversation, I hope you guys just listen in, glean, learn from a few different things. This man is a pastor. He's an entrepreneur. He had a collegiate career at Methodist College. So, I mean, it's a lot of different ways that we went in this interview, man. And I hope you guys really love what we put together, man. So I'll see y'all on the other side of this. And don't forget to hit the subscribe and like button. See y'all on the other side. Peace. As a man right now in your life, you know what I mean, how did you get to the point that you are in your life? And just kind of give us a background of who you are as a person, and not necessarily the pastor or right. So on and so forth. But how did you get to this place?
Right. So getting to this point where I'm at in life, it was by, I'm not gonna say it was by mistake, because I don't believe in that. It was designed by God, but none of it was planned. You know what I'm saying? As far as like being a teacher, like that was never my goal in life to be a teacher. But graduated college, wanted to work in the sports industry. Okay. But somehow I started teaching, and I was really good at it, and I never knew why. But now, like, when I look at it, God was just preparing me to be in that pastor's role. Like, I can teach anything at this point. So I learned, I got my feet wet there. Even when we talk about, even on the teacher side of like teaching the word, I started being a Sunday school teacher. And so that's kind of where how I got to the point of like being a teacher. I just think God kind of steered me that way.
So being a teacher was like David whenever he was a shepherd, right? You know what I mean? He was taking care of the sheep, killing bears, right? But not knowing those skills would actually catapult him to the grandstand of where he would actually move on.
Absolutely, it was preparation, man. It was preparation for where I'm at right now. And so that's kind of how I got into the teaching. As far as like the business, I started with my wife and two other friends. We were just at the beach, kind of talking about how we wanted to do more. Okay. And we were all teachers. My friend's wife, my wife, and me. We were all teachers, and we just kind of like, well, naturally, why don't we do something that centers around that? Because that's what we're good at. And so, we opened up a tutoring center. Wow. And it just so happened he's like a salesman. He works in sales. And so he was taking care of a lot of the marketing and things like that. And so we did it, man. We just kind of stepped out. Like all the money that I had in savings, I just took it, threw it into the business. It was just kind of like, hey, I'm just stepping out there. It's either sink or swim. And so, now 4 years in, learning along the way, but it's been a blessing. So that's how I got into the business side of things, man. And just being a pastor, I tell you right now, and I'm just being honest, like I ran from it from so long. But we all know you can't run from God. And so like, man, probably I felt like I probably should have been preaching at like 23, but I was running, man. And God, he tracked me down. And so I started out serving in a church. That's how I did, serving, not afraid to clean toilets, doing whatever I needed to do for sure around the church. And I felt that calling, and now that story is a long story of how God kind of ran me down.
We're gonna get into that. We're gonna get into it for sure.
And so he called me, and along the way, my grandfather eventually ended up getting older and getting sick. At that point, I was preaching, and so I just kind of stepped into the role, and so that's how I became pastor. But who I am, man, like I'm a down to earth dude, man. Like I tell people all the time, like I'm a regular person. A lot of times I don't even tell people that I'm a pastor, because when you tell people you're a pastor, like they start acting different around you. For sure. And so, man, it's just one of those things where it's kind of organic. Like once I build a relationship with people.
He's like one of the freshest pastors I know, brother. Man, bro got the dopest kick game ever.
I try, man. I try, bro. Bro. Man, when I tell you, like, I love sneakers, man. It's kind of like how I grew up. It's not like a fad like some of these other folks, but man, I've been collecting sneakers since 1995. Like, this is what is what I do.
Like, you're from the era where you can actually go to the store to get shoes.
Right.
Like nowadays, the game has got a little different, but
it's different. Like it's almost not even for me anymore. But
yeah.
But man, I'm a regular dude, man. I like sports. I like talking about stuff, and that's just how I am, man. I'm just regular. I don't put myself on a pedestal. I make mistakes just like anybody else, but family dude. I mean, that's me. That's who I am.
Man, I love it. I noticed you said something about like going to school. Let's dig into that a little bit first, and we'll kind of walk down the timeline of, I guess, where things happen in your life to kind of get you. Because I mean, what your age is right now?
I'm 39.
You're 39 right now. So when you said you should have been preaching at 23, that's a big statement, right?
Right.
So guide us from like where you were in your life, like at the end of high school, like how you navigated through college, and then kind of bring us up to speed a little bit from how that timeline actually looked.
Gotcha. So just like being in college, I honestly went to college to play basketball. Like that's what I went for. Obviously, in my family, education is always important. So, I always had to get grades. But, I chose the college based off of basketball.
And I mean, I've seen him play back in the day. Like, man, bro was nice. He's about my height, but had bunnies out the gym.
Right.
Bro would bounce. For real.
Right. And so I started playing basketball, going through that. That was a challenge because it was different, man. In high school and around a small town, you the man, but like stepping in there, like that blew my mind.
How? In what way?
Just in the sense of like you, like always being one of the best and going in and like dudes doing stuff that you never seen before. And I'm just kind of like, man, like this is ridiculous. Like it really challenged me. I'm like, either I get better or like, I'm not gonna be able to make it. And so it humbled me a lot. Like it brought me down and taught me how to work hard and taught me how to just, if you want to get what you want, you gotta go get it.
It's funny,
making
man.
Excuses.
You say that because like we had Corey on the show a couple weeks ago, and his testimony was a lot of the same sentiment too for our young men. Is that like exposure is so big, right? Because you can be the man at home,
right,
man. Like,
right.
But when you leave and go and start seeing like cats from New York or cats from Tennessee, Florida hooping, or playing football, whatever the case, like you see how they prepare is different. You see the skill set being different, and like you're thrown into this, and you have two scenarios. You either go back home or you do what you can to try to step up. So like how was that innately in you to say, hey, I'm not going to run, I'm going to sit here and try to get better? Or was it something that you had to kind of like learn because it was new to you?
Right. No, it was something that was in me. It was how my pops raised me. You know what I'm saying? It's one of them things where I just had that dog in me. Like, I don't know how else to say it. Right. Like being small all my life, I always had to fight for everything. I always, been doubted, and I was always taught not to quit, man. And so that's one of the things where I just pushed through. I always had that dog in me. I don't believe in giving up. I don't believe in backing down from a challenge. And so I saw it as a challenge. And and that's what I wanted it to be honest, because everything that's good is not always supposed to be easy.
That's real.
And so, I just fought and got to where I needed to be, man, and got myself on the level with those guys.
Was it like just coming in early, putting up more shots? Like what kind of went into that specifically to get better?
Right. I think it was, for me, it was a part of that. Getting more shots up. I know for me, like lifting, getting stronger, like that was one of the things, like, well, most freshmen, like if you, bro, like the strength of these dudes is just ridiculous, but just lifting. But it's more so when you talk about mentally, it's like you got to get the mental game right, man.
Right, because it's a different level, right? Like, you're not just going up there thriving off your pure athletic talent, because everyone has that ability, right? So how do you separate yourself between the ears?
Yeah, and so I saw dudes coming in, like, I'm like, yo, these dudes are good. Like they were really good, but they never made it because they didn't have the mental piece. And so I think one of the things that helped me is understanding, like, it's not all about talent. It's not all about the physical part. So knowing that, I worked on that, but I knew it was more so the mental side of things. Turn the ball over, let it go, keep it moving. Right. You know what I'm saying? Being able to not seeing somebody who may be better than you, not just accepting that, but working harder, having that mind frame that I'm gonna get this done, that I'm gonna win, and then also understanding like your role, understanding where you are. Here I'm a freshman. Right. It's people who juniors and seniors. They gonna
time, man. They spent 3 years in your same position, getting better, trying to get better between the ears. So, stuff naturally pays off for them when you've been doing it for 3 years. Right. That's real.
And I just watched, and on top of that, the mental part of it is just like watching people who, I see somebody and just watching them, like learning stuff from them, asking questions.
That's real.
That was my biggest thing, and that really helped me to survive and do well. And that's what I really wanted to do when we talk about sports. But man, like the timeline from there, like went to college, and all college dudes, wild out.
For sure.
You know what I'm saying? Wild out. And I still, I had the word in me, but, being around people and
you fall victim to a few things.
Fell victim to some stuff, man. But the day I always went to church. My pops was a pastor. He pastored probably about an hour, 30 minutes away. So I would try to go sometimes, not all the time, but stayed in the word. It was in me. That's how I grew up. When I graduated, I started getting more serious about like understanding like I'm a man now. I need to do what men need to do. I need to focus.
Describe that, because I mean you're really going into a good place right now, especially on the platform that is geared towards men at that specific age. Actually, like what did that mean to you? Like, what is a man? And you knew you had to kind of go from, and to me what it sounded like, go from childish ways to something a little bit more in depth.
Right. I think the biggest thing is being a man is realizing what's important. I realized what was important, and the main things that I realized, like if I'm going to have a future, like the things that I'm focusing on and I'm doing, and I want to be where I want to be, like I can't continue to do those things.
That's real.
Realizing that my faith, first and foremost, getting a relationship with God, like I took it real serious, man.
That's
I started getting in the word, start learning the word more, start knowing God, not just from like my parents,
right,
but experiencing them for myself.
For you, that's real.
Like it's different. Like faith is different when you experience God for yourself. And so I started to put God first. I started to get into the word, man. And it just kind of progressed from there. Started talking back to my high school sweetheart, and we got back close together.
Right.
Started being serious about marriage, and we got married. I got married, I guess you would say, relatively young. Got married at 24.
24. Okay, yeah, that is real. That's it.
So at 24,
younger than most.
But man, I was just kind of ready to settle down,
get right,
and start getting on that path, because I knew doing the stuff that I was doing, that was gonna get me where I needed to be. And so got married, had kids, and just from there, having that focus has gotten me, and having that relationship with God has kind of got me to where I'm at today. And
it's dope because you're saying a lot without saying a lot, right? Because for me, listening to you talk about how you talked about your dad, some of the examples that he gave you of what manhood is, and even just being able to instill in you how to stay in tune with the word.
Right.
And then, even though we venture off and do what we do, that was still in you to a point where you got to a specific age, and it's like, yo, if I'm gonna do this the right way, like I have to still have to come back, because you knew what got it your father.
That's right.
This is from what it seems to me.
That's right.
So you knew, all right, if this is what got it my father, this is how I have to kind of incorporate the same thing. And for here, one of our main key pillars is family, man. And it's so important to me, because it's something that I know that will help solve a lot of the issues in our community, man. Like when men are able to step up and become not only the head of their family, but being led by God in that process. Because in my opinion, you can't be an effective leader in the household without being led by God.
I agree.
So I think it's important, because as you go through that process, because for me, you got married at 24, I got married at 31. I always look back at it like, man, I wasted a lot of time in them years, man. Like if I could have identified that earlier to say, man, this is what manhood really looks like, as opposed to living off old Dipset albums.
Right. I already know
what I thought manhood should be. Like I would be a lot further on, meaning we could have came together and start building our assets earlier. We could have had conversations and held each other accountable on some of the greater things in life that really matter. Because I mean, for me, when I look at family, everything I do now is not about me no more. You know what I mean? I want to. I'm not trying to get a check to go out and buy a Lamborghini. Like, that's not even my mind frame. I don't value that. It's funny because I was looking at YouTube the other day, and do y'all ever get them ads that pop up of like guys trying to say, hey, if you want some residual income, and be standing in front of Lamborghini pouring out like champagne bottles or whatever? It's like, that's cool if that's what you value, but like, to me, I don't value that no more, man. So them ads don't really move me to click on the ad, because I'm not trying to get money for those things. I'm trying to get money to make sure my daughter can go to school for free, or that she can be able to walk into a business if no one else want to hire her. Like, these are the things that I'm thinking about, and like, that's what's going to be imperative if we move forward as a community, because now we're opening up pipelines for our kids, which they will be able to open up more pipelines. Right. So like, what's your total feeling about just family and this place in our community in general?
Yeah, I think that everything, when we talk about everything and what's going to really help our community is families, man. Yeah. It's families, because families are so powerful. That, to me, that is an institution from God when we talk about families. That's something that God established, and that's something that should, when we talk about God establishing and God being in it, it's something that we should take serious when we talk about our families, man. Everything starts in the home. And we have so many people that don't understand that. Yeah. Like raising our kids right, teaching them the things that they need to be taught. When we talk about being able to instill values, business, all of those things, it starts in the home. The greatest influence, okay, are people in the house. And I tell people this all the time. I'm a teacher, and yes, I have some influence, but for those kids, I'm with those kids for hours, 30 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. It ain't gonna mean a hill of beans.
Parents are with them for hours, so the parents have more influence. And I think that's one of the things that we need to understand, that everything, it starts in our home. It starts with the family. And if we start taking family serious, being able to put ourselves in the background, like you said, I'm not doing what I'm doing to go out and get Lamborghinis. I'm doing this for my child. Right. And I think it's one of those things, being able to put self in the background, being able to sacrifice, understanding what's important. I believe it'll change our community. Men stepping up, being men, being leaders in the home. And when I say this, that doesn't mean that we're perfect. Okay?
Absolutely, no, that's
and real. That's one of the things that I always like to say. That doesn't mean we're perfect. That doesn't mean that we get everything right, but we're trying.
That's real.
We're trying. We understand that we have a huge impact on the families and on our homes. I think that's one of the things that we have to understand, man, is the importance of family and how everything we see going on in our communities, what we see going on in our country, I think it's the result of just family not being as important as it should.
And it's just, and I don't know, we're in a situation right now where we're in a pandemic, right? God, I think, allowed certain situations to happen where we was in a time period where sports was gone, wasn't no concerts happening. Like, we really had to take a step back and get reacclimated to our families, to a point where, I mean, I don't know, I haven't checked no numbers, but I bet divorce rates have probably went up over the past 4 or 5 months. Because couples are together and looking at one another like, hey, we ain't as busy, and I just realized I don't like you anymore. I guarantee that's happening.
Right, no doubt.
But I say that to say, like, man, taking a step back to really prioritize too, man. Like, really trying to identify what's important, because we often get blinded by hustle or ambition that we forget some of the most important things in life. And out of our 7 pillars, I try to put an emphasis on balance, because if we hang our hat on just one thing, I've said this before and I'll say it again, like, you can't just walk with your chest out saying, yo, hey, I'm a millionaire now, or hey, I'm I make this much a month. Like, yeah, you're a provider, but where does all these other things line up in your life? You know what I mean? And not to say, again, no one's perfect. We're all going to have areas where we might be a little weak, but being able to be humble enough to identify those areas, look at them and say, all right, I could do a little bit better here. How do I get better? So I use that as a segue to say this. Even as a pastor, and I mean, how you may counsel some of the people you talk to, or even maybe even counsel in your own life. How does that process look for you when you look at a certain area in your life, be like, all right, I do notice that I could do this a little bit better. How do you filter through to make sure you're trying to enhance that?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. When you talk about, I know one of the most difficult things for me is like when you look at who you are, you recognize your deficiencies and where you fall short, but everybody kind of looking at you for advice, man. It can be very difficult. But one of those things with me is I recognize that I'm constantly learning. And I don't always, when I talk about counseling people, if I've never been through it or I've never really experienced it,
right,
it's very hard for me to talk about it. So when I counsel people, I come from God's word. Everything that we need is in God's word. And so now I don't feel like, yeah, I'm not perfect in this area. Well, I'm coming from a place that is perfection. That can,
right.
When we talk about going to the Word of God,
right.
I don't care who you are, whatever you're going through, whatever you need, the answer to it is in the Word of God. And I've learned how to teach people and to counsel people based off the Word of God, not my opinion.
That's real.
But to counsel people and to give them stuff from the Word of God, because the Word of God is the blueprint for life to me.
Right.
And when we talk about success, so that's like the biggest thing for me. And with me being imperfect and knowing that and counseling people, it kind of makes me vulnerable.
Right.
It makes me be real.
Right.
With people, and I think that's the biggest thing for me. But man, if I had to answer it, man, it's just being able to just give people things from the Word of God, making it practical, not going over their heads.
I think you just hit on a good word there, practical, right? Because I think sometimes we often look at the Word of God, and I do this sometimes too, right? If someone comes to me and they come with a issue or a problem, and I go straight to the Word, I can kind of lose the human empathetic aspect of it.
Right.
You know what I mean? For example, if there's a young man right now who is struggling with doing the right thing because he's trying to pay bills right now. You know what I mean? It's like, look, I gotta get this bird off, or I gotta hit the block because my son is hungry and I'm hungry too. Like, but the Word of God obviously is counter that.
Absolutely.
Like, how do you get through that process, and like how would you talk to someone through that?
Right. And I think number one is first, before we can minister to anybody, before we can help anybody, like, we need to build a relationship with them.
Yeah, that's real. That is very real.
Like, I don't know the individual. I may not know their story. I may not know what's going on. And so when people know, building that relationship, when people know that you care about them, then you can begin to minister to them. Like, so in other words, if, they trying to get the bird off, they on the corner. Like, it's not my job to like criticize them, because this is what I noticed about most people. Like, and this is not everybody, but most people, when they doing wrong, they know it.
Yeah.
And so at that point, like, it's not my job to then beat him down.
Yeah.
That's not gonna help.
For sure.
And so the way to uplift them is know that I care about them. Like, I'm not judging you. I want to build a relationship, man. Go out, grab something to eat.
Yeah.
Spend time, talk to them.
Yeah.
Listen. Like, I think one of the worst things when we talk about a lot of Christians, we are not great listeners. we do not listen. And my whole thing is if you're not listening, you don't know what the problem is. And if you don't know what the problem is, you can't solve it.
That's true.
And so even with the brother who is on the corner and doing wrong, I'm gonna listen to him. I'm not gonna judge him. I'm not gonna beat him down. I'm gonna love him.
Right.
I'm gonna live right.
See what he may be good at. Try to find an opportunity for him.
That's
if something come up within your purview. But no, you're absolutely right, man. I think it's getting back to a place of trying to understand people. I'm gonna tell this story because I think I was actually talking about this the other day, and I think it's a good example of leadership. Right. One time I was like I think it was 11th or 12th grade. Donnie Holt had just became principal of Lexington Senior High School, and I was in Mr. Al class. Mr. Al's class was real fun, right? It's a class where, it's an elective, and you got a spectrum of type of people in there.
Yes, sir.
So, we in, and the N-word is being tossed around all over the place. Now, Mr. Al is like maybe Hawaiian or something like that. So, he he's very offended that he's hearing this word. So he called Mr. Donnie Holt, or Principal Holt, down, ready to reprimand us, right? So Mr. Holt come in, he hears what the scenario is. All right, some students in here using the N-word. And he took a step back, and he broke down the history of it. He was like, all right, this is the history of it. You know what I mean? Yes, some people use it as a word of endearment, but this is also the history of it, or why, people are offended, so on and so forth. But at the end of the day, he didn't leave saying you should or should not say it. He gave you all the information you needed,
right,
prepared you for a decision that you ultimately had to make, and making sure that you could stand on whatever decision you had to make. And I thought that was so cool, because as a principal, I mean, we could have easily just all been sent to the office, wrote up, whatever the case may be. But he gave us a choice, but he also gave us all the information that we needed, man. And I think as leaders of our community, we just have to make sure we do that. Being able to give people the freedom to make their own decisions, but also educating people to say, hey, if you're going to make these decisions, these are the consequences.
Right.
But here are also some alternatives to avoid set consequences.
That's right.
And I mean, I don't know, I always look back at that example as like, man, that was a unique experience. And not to mention Donnie Holt was black, so he understood the context as well of young black kids in the room, and how being rolled up for saying the N-word can just be futility of exercise. You know what I mean? Like, really try to make some change by understanding and really getting into someone's heart, man. I thought that was dope.
That's it. And I think that's the biggest thing, man, is being able to, even when we talk about the facts, like, you looked at it totally different. Like, what do you learn? What do you learn from that, instead of him coming in talking and giving you facts and giving you information, not his opinion, but giving you facts?
Right.
You don't learn anything from him coming in, sending y'all to office and writes you up.
Right.
Like, you don't learn anything. Like, you learn something right there. And even to this day, and that's why I said, teaching people what they need to do, teaching people what's right, allowing them to make their own choices. At the end of the day, this happened in high school.
Yeah,
you're a grown man and you still remember it, and it made an impact on you.
That's real. That's
why. So I think that's why we need to be doing stuff like that.
It's so important to have a mentor too, man. And if you're a young man and you don't have one, obviously you can reach out to me. I'm pretty sure Fred will be able to give his handles as well on all his social media stuff.
Absolutely.
But like, man, get connected, man. Like, because you gotta have a different set of friends. You know what I mean? Like, you may have the friends that you go play ball with. You may have the friends that you may go to church with. But you need different funnels of information sometimes.
Absolutely.
To be a better person.
Absolutely.
And I mean, I don't know. That's something I live by, man. Like, they say, what's the old saying? You are a average of the 5 people you spend the most time with, or something like that. Like, that's that's a real statement. You know what I mean? Because the stuff you talk about, the stuff you ingest, that's what you're gonna breathe. That's what you're gonna grow. Right. And I watch all the company I keep, man. At 34, my circle is like a dot at this point. You know what I mean? Right. I'm very cognizant about who comes into it, because that energy transfers.
That's right. And I think that's one of the things that we have to understand is, like, for me, what I learned is if you see somebody out there, if you see somebody in a position that you want to be in, then connect with them. Learn something from them.
For sure.
Because, like Ben was saying, like, the company that you keep, that's who you become. Because you're spending so much time into them. They speaking into you. You see what they do. And even when I was younger, like in college, like, I didn't hang around the best people, and stuff that I didn't normally, I normally wouldn't do it. Like, I found myself starting to do that stuff. Like, real. A lot of things, and I'm just like, I got to get away from this.
That's real.
And as soon as I changed the people that I hung around, I began to change. I began to change. I began to come better. It's one of those things where, like, they would challenge me, even the way I was thinking, what I was doing, and like, it changed me. So I'm glad you get around better people, you'll become better.
So I mean, as we talk about friends though, and I guess where you go when you hang with your friends, what kind of drives you at this point to filter out that process? Like, one of our key pillars here is purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what is Pastor Fred's purpose at this point in stage in his life versus what it looked like in his early 20s?
Right. So in my early years, in my early 20s, I made every decision based off of like money. Like money was really important. The houses, the cars, the clothes, like all of that stuff was like super important to me, and I would chase after those things. But like what I found out is it's very exhausting.
Why? Because you can never catch enough.
Right? You can never. It's never fulfilling. Like that's the stuff that we want. Like I worked toward that stuff, and I said if I can make this much money, I'd be good. And I made that much money.
That's real.
And then that was never good. And so I was constantly chasing, and it was exhausting. I found that I was doing a lot of this stuff in my power. Like I was chasing after this, and it just became exhausting. And then I realized that, I would get a lot of that stuff, but still not be fulfilled, still not be happy.
That's real.
Still not be happy, still be miserable a lot of times. And so what I eventually learned is, like if it's making me that way, it's not as important as I think it is. It's not as important as I think it is. And so what I learned is I learned that those things are not important. And now when you talk about like my purpose, like first and foremost is like Jesus fuels that purpose.
For sure.
He leads.
For sure.
He guides. But when we look at it, man, I do everything because I want to have, at this point in my life, I want to have joy and peace.
That's real.
And we talked about this a little bit earlier. Like, what good is the house of your dreams?
Yeah.
But you don't want to come home.
You can't smile in it.
You can't smile. You don't
can't invite people over and celebrate. Yeah.
Right. So I want joy and peace. I'd rather have a smaller house and have joy and have peace. And I would be good. Like I want to be happy. And I found like having a relationship with Jesus Christ makes me happy. Chasing after him and what he desires me to chase after of and go after of, which is him. Like that's been fulfilling to me.
Do you think your relationship and faith changed that purpose?
Absolutely.
Or was it like that before you got to church and Jesus just enhanced it?
Well, for a while, like I was saying, I was chasing the wrong things, but when I got into the Word, it began to like shift my focus away from all the worldly stuff. You know what I'm saying?
That's real.
And I'm not saying like I don't want to be one of those people where I'm sitting up here trying to act like Christians should go around broke, not having money.
Like getting rich is a sin.
Right?
Yeah,
no,
getting rich is not a sin.
Let me tell you, get money. I'm telling you, money is important, but you have to do it the right way.
Yeah.
You have to do it the right way. And I think that when we do it the right way, God rewards that.
True.
And I found like when I built my relationship and I got right with God, like stuff would just start falling into my lap.
Yeah, that's a fact.
Stuff would start falling into my lap. I had favor over my life. And it changed everything. Like when God was leading me and guiding me, man, he was leading me in places. And sometimes it's challenging, but it was always rewarding. It was always fulfilling. Like now, what fulfills me is like hearing my kids laugh. Like that makes me happy. Like that makes me happy. And so and that's another thing that I kind of want to touch on too. Like legacy is really important for me at this point.
Part of your purpose,
like leaving a legacy, man.
That's real.
Leaving a legacy for my kids. Putting them in a better position
Absolutely.
that I was in, and I grew up great. I grew up great, but putting them in a better position, man. Teaching them what they need to be taught, and not only that, but leaving a business for them.
Yeah.
Allow them to be able to get out of college debt free, and to be able to start them off on the right foot with assets and things of that nature, and then also the most important thing, man, is I found that kids don't care about money.
Yeah, that's real. That's real.
Not one time has my kid, not one time has my kid ever asked me, Daddy, how much money you made?
Yeah.
They never asked me that. They want you to spend time with them. They want you to love them. And I think that's the biggest thing. Like the greatest thing, I definitely want to leave them money, like I said, but the greatest thing that I can ever leave them is to know that they are loved by me, and to know that to teach them about Jesus Christ.
We call it a spiritual inheritance right here. You know what I mean? Like passing down values and morals and things of that nature that enhances their life and their foundation. So to your point, like when you get to 2021, your posture on money is in the right form and aspect.
That's right.
You know, when you say, and I want to take a step back because I think what you said there was important. When people say, you know, get money, but doing it from the right posture, how does that really look in real life? It's, I want to get money because I want to be able to start a homeless shelter, or, you know, to be able to give back to people. Like having that posture as opposed to say, I'm finna get money to just go buy a new crib, or to whatever the case may be, like material stuff for yourself just to flex on people that said you couldn't do it. Like, that's not the right posture. That's the posture of greed. Like, coming at it from a loving perspective of saying, yo, it's a need here. I want to be a servant to do more in this area. Like, that's the heart of God. Like, that's where God wants us to kind of develop our spiritual growth. And it's important, man, because none of this is ours anyway. You know what I mean? We can't take none of this with us. So what are we doing to enhance whatever we're doing while we got our time here on earth?
And I believe that when you make that shift of what you're talking about, like, understand that you are blessed to be a blessing.
Ooh.
That's what it's all about. And God blesses those people. He know that when you give when he gives to you, you're not gonna hold it with a closed fist, but an open hand. Like, you're willing to give other people and to help other people. Those are the people that God blesses even more.
That's real.
Because when you think about it, if you think about any way that you've ever been blessed, the people who listen, the people, you know, even with you, like when you think about your blessings, it always came from somebody else.
That's real.
Like it always came through somebody else. In other words, God used somebody else to bless me.
Yep.
Like when I got a job, a lot of times it was because now I earned it, and I believe that I set myself up for it.
You were in position.
I was in position. Somebody else put in the work for me.
Somebody walked you through the door while you been in position.
They let me know that there was an opening there. Like, I can tell you right now, I'm gonna tell you, like, I've never had a blessing just fall out of the sky. It just never showed up. But God always blessed me through somebody else. That's how He does it. We are the hands and the feet of God. So if you want more blessing, if you want to have everything that you need, then you learn to be a blessing and you learn to be a giver, because those are the ones that God gives increase to. If you remember when Peter was on a boat and they were out fishing, and Jesus told them to go out deeper, and he got so much fish that the nets began to break. It almost turned the boat over. But what I noticed about that is that Peter called his boys over, like, y'all come on, come get this. And so he wasn't. It wasn't all. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't all.
Just go fry to sell the fish. Right. He's saying, look, hey, y'all come partake. You know, like, I can't. This is more than enough for me.
Right. Even when you look at that whole story and you go deeper into that story, like even before he got the nets full of fish and he got his homeboys like, y'all come help me. Like, even before that, Jesus actually used his boat.
Yeah.
And he gave it to him.
Right.
He was a giver, just like giving and being a blessing. He was a blessing to Jesus. He helped Jesus get the word out. Jesus stood on the boat so people that were far away could hear him.
And it's easy for someone watching to be like, oh, well, it's Jesus. If Jesus asked me to do something, I would easily do it too. But do we really, though? Because he asked us a lot of times to do stuff in our spirit, but do we obey? And even in a fleshly form back then, this was a time where people didn't know this was the Son of God.
There we go.
It was a difference back then. Like, the timing was, like, sentiments toward him wasn't the same as they are now. The reverence, that is. But that's good though, man. I'm actually going to include that verse down here at the bottom. So if you guys want to take a read over that in your spare time, man, I definitely encourage you to go through that.
Absolutely.
But nah, man, this is all good, man, because the posture of giving, man, that's huge for us here. From our posture on how we look at finances, we talked about faith, we talked about family, man, and even your purpose. Like, your purpose has led you to entrepreneurial endeavors, and I mean, which is very interesting because not only are you a pastor, you are a business owner. Absolutely. You know what I mean? Talk about like that, and I call it being a tent maker. You know what I mean? Similar to how Paul was, right? Tell us about how that journey, I guess, not only changed your life but like enhanced not only who you are as a leader, but as a business owner.
Right, man. When you talk about like me increasing my faith, like to start a business from nothing. You know, I didn't get $200,000 from my parents. I didn't do any of that. But let me tell you something. When you, with what God is putting in your heart, if you step out on that, you'll see that God is faithful. Even like what's on your heart right now, like I believe that God speaks to people and he begins to put stuff in your spirit that you just like, I don't know if I can obtain it. I don't know if I can do it. But what God is speaking in your spirit, like to me, that's the blessing.
Right. And
so this business, he was trying to bless me. And I stepped out on faith. And he has been rewarding me ever since. Being an entrepreneur is very difficult. I went to school for business. And they didn't teach me any of this. You know what I'm saying?
It's ironic, right?
Right.
We pay all this money. Well, you're on scholarship, but
right.
You know, we pay all this money to go to school, but still don't necessarily get the tools we need to be successful in our post education. It's interesting.
Right. And it was trial by fire, man.
Yeah.
Like school of the hard knocks as far as being an entrepreneur. But it just took a lot of faith, man. It took a lot of faith. We started from nothing, from ground zero. Had an idea and executed it.
So the thing that was in your heart, would you call that vision? Because I mean, we're big on that, right? Like,
absolutely.
You know, having your vision, being able to say, hey, this thing in front of me is going to guide every decision I make. Is going to guide how I spend my money, which is another important thing. I think your finances also indicate like where your values are at, but we'll get into that in a second. But this vision is what's dictating your life. Like when you have a vision that you know God done put in your heart, like how do you make decisions around it?
Right.
Like to ensure that you're moving towards it and prioritizing everything else in your life, because I mean, we got 7 pillars here, from health to, you know, social, friends, education. Like how do you prioritize what's important for a particular season in your life?
Yeah, if it doesn't align with the vision, then I know it's probably not a decision that I need to make. If it's going to impact the vision for my business, the vision for my life, then I know that it's not a decision that I need to be making, man.
Right,
because
right.
the vision, it steers you. And if you don't have vision, I'm gonna tell you, you're not gonna make it in life. I found that a lot of people are all over the place, because they don't have any vision.
That's real.
And they tire themselves out because they're everywhere.
That's real.
But vision focus you. Without vision, you're gonna perish.
That's real. That's scripture.
And that's we gotta have a vision, man. You gotta have a vision. You have to see it and you have to execute it. And anything that doesn't align with that vision, anybody who you meet, that doesn't align with that vision, then it's probably things that you need to leave alone.
Because it's funny, man. In this time, right, we see a lot of clout chasing. You know what I mean? To where people just want to get looks onto them to try to get paid, and it's like, but what's the vision behind that, bro? Like, why do you want, you know, 1 million followers if it's not lined up to anything? So I mean, I would challenge, like, yo, don't chase clout, man. Like, chase your vision, chase your purpose. It's more important. You know what I mean? Because anyone can get clout, man. I can go to a water fountain and jump into it, you know what I mean, and record it on camera, like, and it go viral, like. But what does that get me? What fruit does that produce? Okay, the people gonna laugh at you and just say, hey, that's the guy that jumped into the water fountain. Like, it's not doing anything.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, whose life are you impacting? What change are you really making? And that's why I challenge men, is to say, yo, where can I make impact? Where do I see a need? And if it's music, you know what I mean? What kind of music you making? Like, what type of people do you want to serve? If it's if you're, you know, any kind of artist or creator, what kind of content are you making? Who are you serving? Like, try to carve out a niche to say, hey, this is, and it may be an area where it's a lot of people, you know what I mean? Like, it's a lot of rappers, but they not you. They ain't got your story. You know what I mean? Be authentic. You know what I mean? Like, tell your story to where people will look and be like, yo, bro became a lot. You know what I'm saying? I can do that too. You know what I mean? And that's where knowing yourself and having a vision kind of culminates. I don't know if I use the right word there. Brings everything together for success, man. Like I mean, I get passionate about this because it's so real, man. Like if you're not in tune with who you are as a man, you can't stand for what your values and your morals, man. And it's all about integrity. Right. Keeping that.
Right. And I think, you just hit something huge. It's like knowing who you are. Like a lot of people don't know who they are. You can't execute vision if you don't even know who you are.
That's real.
You know what I'm saying? Like when you know who you are, you know this is me. And I'm not, you saying, well, this can't be my vision because this is not who I am. Like, this is not who I am. But if you don't know who you are, you all over the place.
You ready to do anything.
But I know when I think of something, when I know who I am and I have a vision, this aligns with who I am. Then you get those blinders on. And everything that doesn't align with the vision, everything that's impacting that vision negatively, you're able to cut those things out. And I think vision, bro, vision is huge. And you said something about clout. I'm gonna tell you right now, clout is good, but clout is only for a season. So in other words, when we talk about clout, that's just 15 minutes of fame. Yeah. So when we talk about the things that people do on social media and Instagram, so what happens if Instagram is not the next hot thing anymore?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Now what do you do? But vision, you see, vision can sustain you. Vision, it's for the long term when we talk about vision. So yeah, man, stop chasing clout. Stop trying to don't let your vision be to impress people. Number one, I'm telling you right now, you will never impress people because it's one of those things where, man, people, their standards, the world's standard of success always changes. You know what I'm saying?
I can speak to that, like, personally, man, because even in my early 20s, like, my visions were on the wrong thing. Like, when I really started to read the word for myself, I gained my identity. You know what I mean? Like, in high school, you know what I mean? Like, you might be your friends. You might be the identity that your friends want you to be. Mm-hmm. And, it's either being the cool guy, the guy that, does such and such and such and such, whatever the case may be. I don't want to go into too much detail.
Right.
But you're not necessarily being your authentic self. But whenever, I start reading the word, I'm like, yo, this is what God wants, though. You know what I'm saying? And this is who I am. Right. So it gives you the confidence to say, all right, I heard this scenario used before. You know what I mean? When you had that encounter with Christ, it's kind of like it's like being a real estate flipper. You know what I mean? Like, you go into an old busted down crib, but you see the potential in it. Right. You know what I mean? You look around and be like, hey man, this house $10,000, but man, it got some original hardwoods in here. The cabinet's straight. You know what I mean? Like, let me just take out all this old stuff, but I'm gonna keep the stuff in here that I can actually use. You know what I mean? Because and the stuff that you can use is your story. It's the stuff that you've overcome. It's the stuff that that hustle, that motivation. You know what I mean? But it might be attached to some old stuff that don't need to be there no more. So you come in, gut everything, keep the stuff that's good, throw some new paint up, you know what I mean? Put some new carpets in there. Got it smelling good now. Now that same house that was $18,000 might sell for $100,000. Right. You know what I mean? And it has a brand new feeling. Like that's how I looked at my life before and after Christ. You know what I mean? He came in like a real estate project. Kept a lot of the old stuff that was cool, but just got rid of some of the junk, and now you still can be authentic, but authentic in a new way.
Right. And that's huge, man. I'm gonna tell you right now, and this is just even from the experience he talked about and from my own. If you don't have a relationship with God, you probably don't know who you are. I'm gonna tell you right now, and the reason why I say that is because God is the creator. God, He created you. So only a creator can tell you who you are. The person who God created you, he knew you before you were even a thought. He knew you before the foundation of the world. He knows every hair on your head, so He knows your purpose. And I didn't know who I was until I started getting into the Word. I didn't know you didn't know who you were. I didn't know my vision. I didn't know my purpose until I got into the Word. It's because I began to align with the Creator. Only a Creator can identify or tell the creation what it's supposed to do. Let's say, for instance, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, the iPhone. Right. Apple is the creator of the iPhone.
Absolutely.
Apple decides
Absolutely.
What the iPhone does,
Absolutely.
how it looks, what it's supposed to do. And it's the same thing with God.
That's real.
Only God can tell you who you really are and what you should be doing because he created you. Only a creator can do that.
And that's the closest to truth you actually gonna do.
Absolutely.
Everyone says like, hey, yo, I'm out looking for truth. I want to find truth. The only one that can provide truth is the person closest to the source. Meaning, if, again, let's talk about Apple, for example. My truth is, this may be a black box on the table. Your truth may be, oh, this is something that I just use to check Instagram on.
Mm-hmm.
These could be two true things, but what does Apple say about the iPhone? Because this is what it was really created for. And it has an instruction manual to give you every different nuance to how that iPhone works,
yes, sir.
man. Like,
yes, sir.
That's a good example, man.
Yes,
I like
sir.
that, bro.
Yes, sir. You got to have a relationship. If you want to know who you are, you got to have a relationship with the one who created you.
That's real. That's real,
Absolutely.
bro.
Yep.
All right, man. So as we sit here and talk about business, you actually went into the detail of saying that, hey, you went to school, went to college, got your business degree, but they actually didn't prepare you for a lot of the stuff that you see as you become an entrepreneur. But in the meantime, you've actually started and became a business teacher.
Absolutely.
Can you tell us a little bit about that journey and like what are you teaching to kind of help young men and I guess in your case young women avoid some of the same mistakes that you've had to encounter?
You know, being so much in business, going to school, business is it's so broad. You can do so many different things.
That's real.
Which is a good thing, but it's also a bad thing in the sense of like you can be everywhere. And I think one of the most valuable things that you can do is kind of have a clue, like what do you enjoy?
Right.
Like what do you have a passion about?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
What's your purpose?
Right. And so then you can begin to steer everything in that direction. The best way that you can learn, and obviously there is value to, is great value in learning from a book, learning from a professor, learning from a teacher. We all have. They're valuable to society. So I don't want to say that, but one of the best ways that you can learn that gives you that experience is having an internship.
That's real.
Like connecting with somebody, and I'm not just talking about in college, but if you're in high school right now, find somewhere where you can go volunteer in a field that you may want to be in, to be able to do that thing, because what you get is you get that real life experience
to see if you like it or not.
Right.
That's the other thing. We want to do stuff because, and this is my story, right? Like, I picked my major because I looked down a list of majors and I looked beside it and seen how much money it made. I was like, engineering, oh, I might want to do that. Finance, oh, I might want to do that. and that stuff kind of rolls to the top.
Right.
But then when I started to do engineering, I realized like, nah, bro, like I can't do this.
Right.
Like this is boring. My mind just don't work like that.
Mm-hmm.
But to your point, right? It takes getting into some of those situations. Internship is a great way. Potentially getting a low-paying entry-level job to just kind of test the waters out, so on and so forth. What are some other tips or resources that you would think that someone could take or take leverage of?
Yeah, I think even at an early age, when we talk about now, like you can go online and you can take like certifications. Mm-hmm. You can get certifications, things of that nature. Research what you want to do. See if you can get certifications and credentials that are valuable even before you graduate. Those things are very important. In a class that I teach right now, I teach Python programming currently, which is a part of business. Which is a part of business.
We use that a lot at the bank.
Schools.
For sure,
man. My class, the kids can get certified in that, and they can use that certification.
Really?
How they want to? Absolutely.
Wow.
So getting those certifications.
Yeah, that's huge.
Yeah, they can be certified in Python.
Like, that lets me know I need to step my game up, number one, because like at the bank, Python has been something that is like the next wave of coding along the way, and like none of us old heads really know how to do it.
Right.
So for you to say like young people are coming in getting their certificates in high school,
absolutely,
like that on a resume is going to look extremely good for people wanting to hire like externally, man. That is huge, bro. I did not know that.
And when that's things that you can bump your pay up, allow you to bump your pay up. and it just opens up more doors. So that's one thing that you can do. The internships, I think that's important, and just like building relationships overall. Like what I tell people all the time is like treat everybody you know with utmost respect. Treat them well, because you never know, you might need to rely on them later on.
Yeah,
and so you have to be you have to know that, and you just treat everybody well. Learn to be a people person. Like I'm not like the biggest people person. Like sometimes, to be honest, sometimes I could just spend all day by myself, but I learned like there's really no value to that, in the sense of that I think we need to build relationship, but build relationships, make those connections, because they at some point they are going to benefit you. You don't know what door they could open.
And it took me a while for that, man, because like I'm gonna be all the way honest, man, coming from Lexington, in the type of environments we grew up in,
right,
like especially in that era, like I looked as reaching out to people as riding, right? Like, I already know. Yeah, it's it's a very humbling thing to be like, yo, hey man, come talk to me. You know what I'm saying? Or yo, can I, sit and get some pick your brain apart, right? I didn't want to be on someone's job.
No doubt.
You know what I mean? And I had to really get to a point where it's like, yo, like who made these rules? You know what I mean? That's like, why do I think like that? Why can't I be man enough to be like, yo, I appreciate what you're doing. Do you mind if we can set up some time to just, have a conversation? You know what I'm saying? And that switching that perspective was huge for me, because to your point, it opened up connections. It allowed me to meet new friends. Friends are like a lot older than me, but we have a lot in common. Like especially in corporate America, man. Like you can be the only black person in a lot of these rooms, and what they oftentimes expect is for you to articulate a message for the rest of black America. Like that's number one, a lot of pressure.
Yeah, a lot.
And number two, we have to be wise enough to identify that, or I guess set the expectation that black people are not a monolith. Like I don't speak for all the black people. I speak for me and my experience. Right. And we have to be able to be wise enough to say that. But I learned those type of thoughts and worldviews from mentors and people that had been there before me to kind of prepare me for what I may see. And I mean, honestly, man, just navigating through that it's tough, bro. Like you ain't got the right people in your corner, people that's done been there. Like you can make a lot of mistakes, and honestly, the wrong mistake can sit you out, and miss out on promotions. You can get laid off, whatever the case may be. But it can be tough. Seriously.
Yeah, like wanting more knowledge or learning from somebody. Like we got to stop thinking that's like riding, or you know what I'm saying, I'm gonna do it on my own.
Oh, he ain't better than nobody,
right?
Man. Like, he should come to me. I'm the new dude, like
right. I think it's one of those things where you got to learn to work smarter and not harder.
That's a fact.
So if you can learn from somebody and not repeat the same mistakes that they make, if they can help make things a little bit easier for you, then you need to. You need to learn from them.
And most people do. That's the other thing. Like especially even now being in a, I guess, OG position, like
right.
I want younger people to reach out to me.
Yeah.
And I realized that's what they wanted whenever I was in that
Absolutely.
seat. It's just I was looking at it from a tainted like view. It's like, yo, man, they probably won't even respond to me if I said this.
Yeah.
Okay, if they don't, so what? Reach out to the next brother. You know what I mean? You might get a brother every now and then that ain't always as open to help, but 9 times out of 10, man, like most of us know the journey that we face and are more than willing to help.
Absolutely. I think it goes back to like the community part.
For sure.
I think it goes back to the community when we talk about in the sense of like anybody who needs my help, I'm willing to offer that help because I want to make people better.
That's real.
If you look like me, man, I want to help. Like put us in better position. Like I'm blessed to be a blessing. And what you'll find, well, like a lot of successful people are not selfish.
Yeah,
like
real.
They'll give you knowledge because they don't see you as competition.
That's a fact.
And that's one of the things, and I don't know if I can really go in this area. Like one thing as a community, when we talk about African Americans, when we talk about black people, we see each other as a competition.
Yeah.
So in other words, I'm not going to let Ben have the knowledge that I have because I don't want Ben to have what I have or exceed me. But we gotta let go of that. That's that crabs in the bucket mentality. Like if I have knowledge that can help Ben, or Ben has knowledge that can help me, we need to be sharing that, man. We need to be sharing that. And like he said, and this is why we got to have more brothers like him. Like, he wants people to come up to him. Like, that's what I want. Like, come up, ask me.
What this is for.
So we can connect, and so I can teach you, and so, you know, and even you can teach me some stuff. It's some stuff that, you know, y'all can teach me. But I think that's it, man. It's just valuing each other and wanting each other to be better.
So, man, internships, connections, continued education, like certifications, like these are all things that you can be proactive in furthering your entrepreneurial journey and furthering your, you know, corporate ladder journey, like whichever, either or. And I guess while we're here at this topic, and this is right before we wrap it up, what is your thoughts on the entrepreneurial journey versus a 9-to-5, right? Because, you know, you have a lot of black leaders out there say things like, yo, if you work a 9-to-5, I'm not going to do it because I'm not going to call another man daddy, having the bosses, like, you know, so on and so forth. So, like, what are your thoughts as being a man in both, right? And even ministry, which is another form of entrepreneurship, but also from a nonprofit perspective. Like, how do you look at those realms of a business?
Well, first of all, man, I hate people who say that, you know, they open up a business and then criticize everybody else who doesn't have a business. Like, I'm another man. I can't see myself calling another man boss and them telling me. Like, first of all, it is nothing wrong with a 9-to-5.
Right.
It's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
That's rewarding. Don't let people think that there's something wrong with that. If that's what you want to do, everybody doesn't have the entrepreneurial spirit.
Right.
And if you don't, I'm gonna tell you right now, you don't want to get in the field.
For sure.
Because it's hard. It's difficult, man. If you don't like taking risks, you don't want to do it. And so I think one of the biggest things is when we talk about being an entrepreneur, it is more rewarding working for myself.
Yeah.
In the sense of, and I want to get to a point where I can do it full time.
For sure.
But, you know, going in and working, like knowing that
what you're building up is for you.
It's for me.
Yeah.
Like, that's rewarding, and that's the whole thing.
Yeah.
I just want to tell people to know that, like, the 9-to-5s are out there, and the careers where you go and work for the big corporations, those are out there. But you also need to know that you can do it on your own.
Right.
How you make other businesses money. Like, I have a friend right now, and I'm being transparent. You know, I'm not gonna say his name, but, you know, I think he said he made his company about $10 million last year. And he gets paid good money, but it's not $10 million.
Right, it's just a portion of it's a little fee, quote unquote. Yeah.
Right. And so, you know that the option is out there for you to do it yourself.
Whereas if you can
your own,
be a consultant of that same skill set, make $10 million. You might have overhead expenses, but you're probably still going to clear a lot more than what you're getting a percentage of. Now, and I think it's very important. I think oftentimes we overlook, like, the benefits of having a 9-to-5, right? From healthcare perspective, which is important whenever you have a family. Like, from a 401k perspective, you get the matching piece there, which 401k is a legitimate way to save. Like, if you start investing in your 401k early, like 19, 20, 21, like, that grows. The power of compounded interest, and if you don't know what that means, please look that up. The power of compounded interest is so important. But that means that the earlier you put in money into a savings account or an investment account, it's going to compound on each other. And just a high level explanation of it. If I put $100 into an account today and I gain 10% off that $100, it turns to $110. Now, that same 10% that I'm going to get next year is not for $100, it's on $110. So you repeat that, it's $11 the next year, and then it just keeps going up. But it's going to at least, if not increase, or I guess go above inflation, it's going to be at inflation. So if you just put money in an account and let it sit, you're losing money.
Yeah, that's true.
Because
that's true.
And I'll use this example. In year 1999, when we was coming up, you can go to McDonald's and get a hamburger for like 50 cents.
Yes, sir.
Like, you can't get no McDonald's hamburger for 50 cents these days because of inflation. Over time, prices go up. So if I would have kept that same dollar from 99, it doesn't have the same buying power now.
That's right.
But I say that start a 401k, get benefits, and use the money that you're getting from your 9 to 5 to finance your dream.
That's it.
Like, finance a business. You know what I mean? And I think we as a community have to do better at this. It's whenever men at our ages, right, where, you know, we get more savings and we might not have the business particularly planned, but we connect with a younger guy who is creative,
no doubt,
that's on his business. Like, being able to connect together to finance his dream and be business partners to where he can do the legwork, he got the time, he can go out, start a cleaner business. You supply everything and you break everything 50-50.
Everybody
like, that's where, you know, we have to really start to come together and start putting big plans together.
Right. And I think the value of the value of entrepreneurship, when we talk about that, you have the ability to leave your family something.
Yep.
So in other words, like, I work, you know, I teach, but I can't leave my kids at school, or I can't leave them, you know, that position.
That's real.
And so being an entrepreneur, it creates wealth, and not just wealth in this season, but it creates generational wealth.
That's real.
So it creates generational wealth. So on down the line, you can leave that business for your kids. They can go out and leave it for theirs. And when you look at a lot of wealthy people, at some point, when you look at a lot of wealthy families, at some point in that family, somebody decided to be an entrepreneur.
That's real.
And it created generational wealth. So I think that's one of the biggest things.
That's real.
It's, when we talk about risk and reward, it's a lot of risk, but if you can be successful in it, you get a reward, not just for you, but, you know, on down the line.
That's real. No, I mean, in this house, I'm definitely teaching entrepreneurship. I mean, I'm not going to, you know, discourage 9 to 5. Obviously, I work at 9 to 5.
Exactly.
But my daughter would know how to fill out a LLC before she knows how to fill out an application.
Man,
that's real.
Whoa.
That's real.
Whoa.
No, I think this has really been a real good conversation today, man. I think we're going to put a button on it, man. I think, you know, we've shared some really good thoughts, you know what I mean? Not only from our own perspective, but gave insight as to how people can implement. Can you give the people your socials? Where can they find you at, man?
Man, well, you know, the social, I only have one, but FredT.Jones, that's on Instagram. You can find me on there. Hit me up on there. Any questions that you need to ask me, anything that you if you just want to vent, just hit me up on there.
It's a good brother here, man. Reach out, try to do that, man. Seriously.
Right, but I'm always on Instagram. I don't always post, but, you know, I'm always on there looking.
You be lurking.
Right. And you know, I like some stuff, but you know I'm the dude. I want to be informed. That's what I do. Get my motivation. There's certain things that I go in there for motivation for, but yeah, your boy, I be on there, man.
I respect. Where can they find the sermons at, man? For the person that, you know, we in COVID right now, they can't get into a building, man. Where can they hear the sermons?
So we get sermons, like, we are on Facebook live every Sunday at 11 o'clock a.m. If you want to check out, like, past sermons, if you go to Facebook and you type in Florida United Holy Church,
I'll put the link right here so you guys will have it.
You'll be able to see it, and hopefully it'll bless you. If it does, let me know. For
sure, man. Hey, well, Pastor Jones, we appreciate you for coming through, man. Before we head out, man, y'all know we always do a 7 for 7. I hadn't called that up until today. You know, I'm creating a new title for it. We're gonna call it the 7 for 7. Y'all know we end with you know, a hot question where we can get someone's top 7 on a specific topic. Today, since Fred went to college, you know, he was nice and bald back in the day. Back in the day before, you know, he stole his Achilles.
Right, not now, boy. You ain't getting nothing out of me now.
I laugh because I experienced the same injury. But who are your top NBA players of all time? Top 7.
Top 7.
Here we go.
And when he asked me this, it was difficult. But
here we go.
You want me to start from 7 and go to 1, or 1 to 7?
I didn't even know you was gonna put them in any number. But if you wanna rank them, go from 7 to 1.
All right. So it's 7, man. We're gonna go with Big Wilt. You know what I'm saying? When you talk about
Chamberlain, okay.
Wilt Chamberlain.
Young boys might not know who that is,
right?
But I respect it.
Yeah, but let me tell you this, man. Let me tell you, I gotta put the old school in there. When they changed the game because of you, they literally widened the paint because of him.
You're a legend.
Because he used to straddle the paint and just sit down there and score on the boys. So they had to widen it so he couldn't do that. So when you change the rules of the game, that means you making an impact. So Wilt Chamberlain, I'm gonna go with him.
That's one of the best reasons I've heard for putting Wilt in. Most people just throw Wilt in just because of the name, but
nah,
I can respect that logic actually. That's okay.
They changed the game. They changed the rules because of that man.
I give you that.
And then number 6, this is the silent killer, Tim Duncan.
I respect that too.
Tim Duncan is going to be the
fundamental.
The big fundamental San Antonio Spurs.
Boring to watch, but he got it done.
Right. All I'm going to say is look at his resume.
Oh, yeah, his resume.
He's going to put work in on anybody. So Timmy D is 6. Magic at 5. We're going to go with the Magic Man at 5.
All right.
The 6'9". I
respect it.
6'9" point guard.
Point forward. He played everything.
Right. Literally every position.
In the 80s. That was unknown. Yeah, right. That's real.
Magic was like one of the first of his kind. And then like this is my favorite player of all time. Okay, what am I at right now? I'm at number 4. This is my favorite player of all time. You can argue, but listen, Kobe Bryant.
Kobe Bean.
All right. Kobe Bean Bryant. I'm a Lakers fan.
The Mamba.
Man, when we lost Kobe, man, bro, when I tell you, like that hurt your boy, man. That hurt your boy. We had a dog. I named my dog after Kobe.
Oh man.
But yo, that was my dude. When you talk about, to me, the most skilled player, the ability to make the toughest shots,
for sure,
my man Kobe. Had that dog in him.
Man, he had a different kind of work ethic.
Different
kind of work ethic. I'll give him that.
And so Kobe, and then with me being a Lakers fan, and the only reason I put him over Kobe is because I'm hoping he wins a championship with me being a Lakers fan. My man LeBron is next. LeBron James.
See, that's my guy. So hey, it's funny to hear a Kobe fan put LeBron above Kobe.
Right.
Like this is probably the first time I've heard this. But hey, you can't knock that man for what he do.
Oh nah, now we going if he don't win this, which he's up 2-0 right now against the Heat.
At the time of filming, when this come out, this will probably be already have series will be over, but it's pretty much.
Now if he man, that's the only reason I got him ahead of Cook because he got 4 chips.
Okay.
And when you talk about the amount of MVPs LeBron has, by the time he finishes his career, he's probably gonna be the all-time leading scorer.
Yep.
He's already in top 10 in rebounds and top 10 in assists. He's probably gonna get at least in the top 5 in assists. Like that's never been done before.
So
that's never been done before. So that man, whoa! I mean,
it's funny though because like with him only having 4 rings, Kobe having 5. Like, how does that So does rings not matter anymore, or how does that apply?
Rings definitely matter, but when we talk about like statistics.
Oh, you're talking all around impact.
All around impact.
Gotcha.
Like LeBron, what does LeBron got? He has like 4 or 5 MVPs. The most All-Star. He's been to the most All-Star games.
Hey, man, been there since 18, man.
He's gonna be the number. If his career, if he keep going, he's gonna be the number 1 scorer of all time.
Hey, man.
Rebounds. He's gonna at least be in the top 10. Assists. Nobody has ever done this, and I think that's the greatness of LeBron. I know we like to criticize LeBron because he don't really have that dog in him like Kobe and all. But listen, when you go statistics, Kobe only had 1 MVP. I think LeBron got like 4.
I think that's a misconception too. Him not having a dog. I think earlier on in his career he didn't because he still had some young, childish ways still in him.
Right.
But I think over the years we have seen a dog come out of that man.
I agree.
So I mean, I don't know. I hear people say that, and I think early in his career you could have made that opinion, but I think now he checks all the boxes. In my opinion. So we got LeBron at 3. We've never seen anybody do what he's doing, especially at his age now. Still playing at the MVP level. So let's LeBron at 3. Then y'all may not know who he is, but it is Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. It's number 2. Okay, Lou Alcindor.
There we go. This man is great. The number 1 all-time leading scorer. In his late 30s, he was still averaging 20 plus. He's the all-time leading scorer, up there in rebounds. He's won championships, multiple MVPs. So Kareem is definitely up there. Then number 1, we never seen anything like this, man. It is
undeniable for our generation.
Right, it's Michael Jordan.
Undeniable. I respect it.
He is the greatest of all time. He is the GOAT. He's undefeated in the finals, 6 championships. Probably could have had 2 more. He wouldn't have retired for those years. But when we look at his impact, I'm talking about just like not on the court, but off the court.
That's for sure.
His shoes, 30 years later, still relevant.
That's real.
No, before social media, imagine how popular he would be if it was social media back then.
Or how much trouble he could have got.
Right. Which, it could have been a bad thing.
Either way.
Right. But man, when you talk about just his impact on culture, like when Mike came in the game, like he changed everything up. So Jordan, and there's some young guns out there like KD. If KD can do some more, I'm move KD into the list. I think
he got to get a ring by himself as the head of the team.
I agree,
in my opinion.
But it's a few people that I can move in there. But that's my list. It may be a little debatable, but that's me.
I'm not mad at that list. Actually,
okay,
man.
all right.
Would I swap anything out here? I mean, I might put Magic above Kobe.
Ooh,
I mean, but even that's still debatable. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
Now the rest of this ain't pretty legit though. Bro.
Okay, all right.
I'm not mad at that list at all.
All right.
This is like the first great list I've actually agreed on about 100%. So, hey,
right.
I respect it.
Yep. Well, man, like I said, I appreciate you, bro.
Hey,
inviting me on here.
Well, hey, look, that is our 7 for 7, man. I appreciate Pastor Jones for coming in, man. Just sitting back, unwinding. Kicking back, being authentic with us. And sharing some of his success stories, things that he want to see implemented in y'all life. And hey, hit him up, man. Hit me up if anybody needs anything out there, man. So until the next time, man, I'll catch y'all on the other side of this, and it's a wrap on another Kickback, man. Peace.